Okay, so now we're talking club face and wrist hinge, but just bear in mind that the grip has a direct effect on how your wrists can work. So if you're not entirely sure that your grip is correct, please have a look at our grip video first, and then once you're happy with your grip, then we can work on to our club face and wrist hinge. So I'm going to move on to that now. So what we've got a couple of different ways we can move our wrists and anywhere in between. So we've got an upward movement of our wrist, that's called a wrist cock, and we've got a backward movement of our wrist, which is called a wrist hinge. And you've got anywhere in between too. So the wrist hinge is like a door hinge, back and forth. And what you'll find is that the more the wrist hinges backwards, the stronger the club face gets. So if I excessively work the back of my right wrist, you can see that the club face turns in a little bit. So there's very little upward movement of the wrist there, but quite a lot of backward pressure. Whereas if I go the other way and I have a little bit of excess wrist cock here, you can see that the club works a little bit more toe end up, and that will introduce a little bit of a cupping to my left wrist, and that will generally open the club face. So the drill I'm just about to give you, you can work to your tendencies a little bit. If you have a club face that tends to get a little bit too sharp, you can actually introduce a little bit more cupping to the wrist and vice versa. But rather than try and work on the wrist hinge while it's up around the back of your head there somewhere where you can't see it, I always like to try and work on the wrist angle and the club face when it's in front of me. So I have a drill that I like to give my clients where you preset the wrists. So you keep the hands where they are and you work the club back until the shaft is parallel to the ground. So the hands are still opposite the ball, and you can then dial in the club face as to how you want it. So if you tend to get it a little bit open, you can turn the club face shut a little bit more so that the leading edge just turns inwards a little bit. That will then flatten off the left wrist, and then from there you take a nice posture, get yourself nice and settled, look at the ball, and you simply rotate your body to the top, and that's it. So the hand and arm swing is completely done and finished whilst in front of you. If you have a little tendency to get the club face a little too sharp, you can be a bit more generous in the club face where the leading edge of the club is a little bit more vertical. That'll introduce a little bit more angle to the top of the left wrist. But again, find the position there now. So this is a little bit more open now. Hands where they are, shaft parallel to both your toe line and the ground. Good posture, watch the ball and wind it to the top, and you can see there's just a little bit more angle to my wrist there now. So that drill you can dial into what you want your wrist to do whilst it's in front of you, turn it to the top, and just make it suit your style of golf swing in terms of club face alignment.